Hello, Coach.
How you doing, Nate?
Doing pretty good. First question: what do you take from the season?
Ooh, um, there are a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, right? Probably more bad because our record says that there was more bad happened than good. But there were a lot of good things that happened on this team, to this team, for this team this year. Um, Probably the biggest thing ultimately I will take from this year, though, is the amount of perseverance and tragedy that we've had to deal with this year. There were, you know, based on my last account, truly, there were 50 people who lost their lives over the course of our 3-month season that were associated with our football team. So there has been a lot of loss on this team, and unfortunately, that amount of loss I will definitely take with me as one of the things for this year, which is an off the field subject, but it's still more important, right? That's life, that's family, that trumps school and football. So unfortunately, that will be one of the main things I take from this. But the positive spin and challenge on that is the amount of perseverance that our young people used to get through and function during the course of this whole thing will probably be the biggest thing that I take away from this year.
Second question: what does the future look like?
I think the future is very, very bright for us, Nate. I mean, we have a lot of offensive linemen coming back that were young, some that did get injured, season-ending injuries that we will get back next year. We already start, recruiting. You just go from football season to recruiting season. I wish it was not that fast, right? There's guys getting ready for playoffs and things like that right now. But for us to go and add, a second piece, and I'm not talking about individually by this recruiting class, but just another piece, which would be this entire recruiting class for 23 coming up. Our win this past weekend versus Carthage to get us to 4-6. Again, not anywhere close to where we want this to be, but that puts us, in the middle of the pack in this very, very good football league. It, first and foremost, it was a win for the seniors, their last college football game. I think every single person remembers their last game in high school and their last game in college. And, for those guys to get a win and to go out, singing our school song on somebody else's field, those are all really, really positive things. So the groundwork has been laid. Similar to this building that we're building, the groundwork has been laid. But it's just that, it's just groundwork, right? It's just the beginnings of this program getting back to where it has been in the past, which is at the top of the CCIW. So, and there were just, personally, mistakes, upon mistakes as a head coach, you make, and scheduling things and not being in control of certain things that are scheduled for you that you have to do. Probably the most specific personal thing, Nate, was having to carve out and find new ways for myself to study film and watch film, right? A lot of that stuff gets kind of put on the back burner, and I say a lot of stuff, it's football film, and that's most important, but, school is more important. Behavior off campus is more important, and the community is more important. So I had to find some very specific and different ways to watch film during the course of the week, and being able to add my 2 cents to, offensive game plan or defensive game plan or special teams game plan. So for myself personally, it's just finding more time to work through some of those things ultimately. So I am, obviously not happy. I should shake my head no. I am not happy with completely how the season went. But I am happy with the growth that took place from game 1 to game
Ryan, and I don't know if you know, but it has been 9 years since we had actually won our last home game of the season, and 9 years ago it was against Carthage. So what can you say about that?
I did not put that statistic up before the game. I go back and look at records, with the teams that we play, just so that these guys have an understanding of, we did beat this team a lot more than we have lost to this team with the current history. We are in a downturn in this program's history, right, that we have to get, hopefully for us, corrected. But I did not put that up there because, it was one of those things that was negative, you know what I mean? And I try to stay away from the things to show them full of all negative things. Now, if I'm trying to make a point or, be a little bit of a butthole, yeah, I'll put that up there. But last week, I was like, okay, basically, look, it's going to be a decade, right? So I did not put that up, but I did know that. And I think it was, two teams that are, basically in the middle of the pack to lower part of the pack in the CCIW. And, as crazy as football is, that team that we beat that, really probably should have gotten shut out 17-0, they beat Augustana that beat us 70-0, right? So none of that makes sense whatsoever. And that is the part that I believe truly goes to the coaches and ultimately the head coach, right? Are you getting them ready to prepared and ready to play? Do they show up on game day? But being able to get the win, because my 2 years, played them in the COVID year and the year after since I've been here, so it was good to get off of the non-winning section for me personally against them. But that pales ultimately in comparison to the seniors getting their win in their last game. This program getting a away win, which hadn't happened this year. So there was a lot of singing on the bus, maybe on the way home. Like I said, for one of the traditions that I like to start here is, when you get your first away win, you gotta sing on the bus coming back home. And you would think it's semi-trivial or, it's taking up time for a 4-hour bus ride, one. But two, you get a chance to see the kids' personality really come out a little bit more. And, I was surprised by some of the songs picked ultimately on the bus ride home Saturday night, but also some of the voices and just interaction with, the bus and how they got things going. So I am glad we got the win. For us to be, not on the losing side in your last game. And ultimately, that means that for a decade, the seniors here at Milliken have lost their last game, right? So, that's another thing that I didn't show them, but we are going and moving in a positive manner with something. Even, a statistic, you can make stats up for everything. So, for that to be a statistic that they didn't have to see, but now know, that's something I can show them next year and say, all right, look, we are 1-9 still, right? Like in last season games, but. One of the goals for the season, I think if you ask most coaches, somewhere in there, win the conference, win a national title, blah, 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 blah. I think somewhere in their list ultimately is win the last game, right? So, whether you're going to the playoffs or not, you win the last regular season game, big thing for recruiting, so on and so forth. You're in the playoffs, you win the last game, well, put a ring on your finger, right? Mm-hmm. So I do think that for us to win that last game adds to the positivity of this season moving forward for recruiting and other things.
And then lastly, any last words for the seniors?
For the seniors, we had CCIW voting today. So however fast you get this put on the internet today, Nate, I would like to give the first positive shout out to Kidman Doherty, who was honorable mention this year, or whatever their new term is called. Shout out to Chris Montgomery, who will be named second team All CCIW. Shout out to Quentin Miller, who will be named first team All CCIW, and Alexander Perkins, who will not only be named first team All CCIW, but he will also be the defensive player of the year in the league. So we won't find out about All-Americans and things like that for Perk, which I think we should have a legitimate shot at. And then for all of the seniors that weren't nominated and didn't get votes. Some that were nominated and didn't get votes. Like I told you guys, this senior class will be one of the most important, because they're truly the first seniors that I had together, for a whole, if you will, calendar year. So they're gonna have a special place in my heart, right? One, there's not that many of them. We gotta change that. And two, I think that one, there are no malicious kids on this team. Malicious, not anymore. And I do think that those 12 seniors that we have graduating, they are just really good people. They understand, how to deal with people, how to talk to people, the empathy that is shown, or that I have at least seen from each one of them. They're just really, really good people, and I want them to go out into this community, this world, and do some really, really, really positive good things, because football has now taught them these things. Life and Milliken have taught them these things. Now, go and put them into practice. It's not theory anymore, right? Your econ class just got real when you got to pay rent, right? Or pay mortgage, right? Like, your sociology skills get real sharpened when you have to go to PTA meetings and deal with, kids and parents of kids at your kids' school. So I love them to death, and I wish them the best. And for the rest of the team, after Thanksgiving next week, it's back to work. There is no rest when you are trying to change something in a manner as drastic as what we're trying to change. So we will get back to work next week. And then the last shout out really goes to our fans and our parents, our professors and adjuncts and deans. Like, all of those people have a big part of this season as well, whether they want to admit it or they don't want to admit it, whether they want that or themselves, kind of put in those positions or not. It doesn't matter, right? These professors and adjuncts and deans, they're all part of this, winning and losing for us. The support that they give us, your parents are always going to support you. They might talk crazy to you, but they're always going to support you, right? Your sisters and brothers and uncles and aunts. So, this community at all, Decatur and Milliken, I think we saw what could be some beginnings of really, really, really good support from this town and from this school. But we also have to make sure that we are taking care of our side of that bargain. And our side of that deal is making sure we're putting a good product on the field and that we're winning games so that people can be excited. So thank you for all of your help and considerations and empathy, sympathy, emails, text messages. I think probably if I had been looking for it, we might even got a carrier pigeon from somebody. So thank you for all our fans. Thank you for the support, and the parents, obviously. Thank you for your support, and we're going to need some more of it going forward, because this is something that I have trying to will into existence, that this culture changes, this school gets behind these kids, this community gets behind these kids, and this thing takes off like a rocket ship. So thank you guys very much, and I will see you in about 216 days. Thanks, Nate.
No problems, Coach.